not vivid now before our eyes, but this is what my father talked about, all these strategic partnerships that have been worked on for so many years.
That he helped build.
That he helped build, along with many, many others. And there seems to be a void on many levels.
Well, we're not talking about it. We're talking about the shining bouncing ball of the day. No one's connecting it to the every person in Ohio. What difference does it make to the person in Ohio? Well, it does. It makes a difference in their wallet. It makes a difference in their national security, even in places like Ohio and Michigan and Pennsylvania.
I think you could agree, though, that trade clearly is some kind of an electoral issue. And we have these sort of relatively cosmetic moves on NAFTA with Mexico and Canada, and the real possibility of a significant trade war with China. And it would appear that Trump's electoral base likes and supports a lot of this, even though there are serious pocketbook issues with well, in some places it has bitten them, right? There's farming issues, and there's steel and lumber issues that are pretty significant. That is a foreign policy issue.
It is a foreign policy issue. We're running up the national debt and going into debt using Chinese money to pay off the debt so that we can pay American farmers for not selling things to China. And it's insane. And no one is going into that kind of discussion in the election that I see.
Dan.
Well, it's interesting, Richard, that when you talk about trade, which seems to be something that Trump brings up, and you mentioned how we're borrowing money from China to pay farmers not to sell their food to China. But how, from our standpoint, where we're looking here and we see Trump last night talking about, everything unrelated to that, and how do you square up sort of what, the average citizen can do who is interested in these things? How can it become more relevant in today's political environment?
So we have to have politicians who are willing to talk about it. And I think a lot of politicians today think they have to talk about whatever shiny ball Trump throws. And it's like Trump throwing the paper towels in Puerto Rico. Every day he throws a political hand grenade into our national dialogue. And we talk about that. And we don't talk about the things that we should talk about, the things that are important and over the long term are making America less safe and less powerful.
Well, there will be a new episode of Future State every Monday until Election Day. Richard Clark, thank you very much for being on this morning. Good to see you again. And coming up, Forget Friday, sources tell NBC News that Brett Kavanaugh's FBI background check could end today. We'll talk to a senior member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Democrat Dick Durbin, plus a rising star in the Democratic Party. Jason Kander drops out of the race for Kansas City mayor and makes his private mental health battle public. Morning Joe is coming right back.
Joe, we've had a good long run. We need to stop.
Stop what?
Killing people.
We have to find Prospector.
Yeah, the 4-year-old.
Report in the river. The lights are all the gold.
This is our chance to get out.
We finish his last job and then part ways.
We won't have to fight. Is your gun loaded?
I think so. Let's just go home. Once we're done with the job, eventually you're going to get us killed.
My sister's brother submitted honor.
So, that goal you've been saving for, you can do it.
We can do this.
At Fidelity, our online planning tools are clear and straightforward, so you can plan for retirement while saving for the things you want to do today.
We use Angie's List because we can always find great local pros.
For any type of home project.
I use Angie's List if I need to find a plumber,
An electrician.
a painter.
I always use Angie's List because it's free.
It's free for me to read reviews written by real customers.
We can check their reputation to make sure they do quality work. And now, to save time, Angie's List can actually match my project to a few qualified pros who can do the job.
To get the most reviews from real customers, all for free, go to angieslist.com today.
Here we go.
Discover, I like your card, but I'm absolutely not paying an annual fee.
Discover has no annual fees.
Really?
Yeah.
We just don't believe in them.
Oh, nice. You would not believe how long I've been rehearsing that.
No annual fee on any card, only from Discover.
In an era of online retail
where everything is just a few clicks away, buying a car should be no different. That's why at Carvana, you can buy a car 100% online. We made it easy to browse, view, and buy from over 10,000 cars. You can even trade in your old car, all while binge watching your favorite TV show. Afterwards, we'll deliver your car to you, or you can pick it up from one of our car vending machines. Either way, your car comes with a 7-day return policy. So grab a seat, relax in your comfy pants, and enjoy the new way to buy a car at Carvana.
To most, he's Phil Mickelson, pro golfer. To me, he's, well, Dad. So when his joint pain from psoriatic arthritis got really bad, it scared me. And what could that pain mean?
Joint pain could mean joint damage. Enbrel helps relieve joint pain, helps stop irreversible joint damage, and helps skin get clearer. Enbrel may lower your ability to fight infections, serious, sometimes fatal events, including infections, tuberculosis, lymphoma, other cancers, nervous system and blood disorders, and allergic reactions have occurred. Tell your doctor if you've been someplace where fungal infections are common, or if you're prone to infections, have cuts or sores, have had hepatitis B, have been treated for heart failure, or if you have persistent fever, bruising, bleeding, or paleness. Don't start Enbrel if you have an infection like the flu.
Since Enbrel, Dad's back to being Dad.
Visit Enbrel.com and use the joint damage simulator to see how your joint damage could be progressing.
Ask about Enbrel. Enbrel. FDA approved for over 16 years.
Dear Stephen, at our quarterly meeting you asked me, when was the last time I had a physical? It wasn't a question I expected from my financial guy, but I took your advice and got checked. The doc found a small tumor, but they caught it early, and things are looking good. So this is me saying, thank you. Sincerely, Brian.
One thing for sure, the Senate will vote on Judge Kavanaugh here on this floor this week.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell promises that the Senate will move forward and vote on the nomination of Brett Kavanaugh. The FBI's investigation into the allegations against Judge Kavanaugh could be wrapped as soon as today. Two sources familiar with the matter tell NBC News that the probe could have been closed as early as last night. Welcome back to Morning Joe. It is Wednesday, October 3rd. With us, we have MSNBC contributor Mike Barnicle, former Assistant United States Attorney in the Criminal Division of the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York, Daniel Goldman. Professor at Princeton University, Eddie Glaude Jr. There is a new title. What is that?
James S. McDonald,
Distinguished
University.
Congratulations. Distinguished. Oh my goodness. Wow.
He's here on set
That's
with Joe.
amazing.
Junior Mac Professor.
Okay. So distinguished. Political writer for the New York Times, Nick Compasori, and White House correspondent for PBS NewsHour, Yamiche Alcindor. And Joe, we're going to get to the Richie Rich story in just a moment.
Yeah.
There's checks here, Fred Trump's transfers to his kids, and it all indicates that Donald Trump didn't get $1 million loan from his daddy, which is a lot, but millions, many millions.
You know, Mika,
Richie Rich
Yeah.
was worth $8 million. Richie Rich was worth $8 million when he was 8 years old, and then half a million almost. I mean, $500 million almost transferred to the kids.
He
and Donald took his to Atlantic City, got $8 billion in debt, and now apparently some really shady tax schemes in there. Who would have ever seen that coming? Really quickly about the Kavanaugh investigation. First of all, I got to say, it's got to warm the cockles of your heart that Eddie Glaude is in your old chair at Princeton now.
He is.
I mean, that's great. That is great stuff, first of all.
I voted against him. I'm transparent about that, but I'm glad he's there anyway.
Yeah, but secondly, I don't understand something. Jeff Flake, I don't understand a lot of things, but this is what I don't understand right now. Jeff Flake said he'd give him his vote if they get a weak investigation, FBI investigation, not W-E-A-K, but W-E-E-K.
Right.
Investigation to Kavanaugh, and it turned up nothing untoward. We're at Wednesday. They haven't actually talked to the key players in this, the principals in this. and they're saying that they could have shut it down last night. I don't understand that, and I don't understand how that changes Murkowski or Collins or Flake's position, because they're not running the full investigation.
Well, if the idea of this investigation, as Jeff Flake and Chris Coons and others dreamed it up, was to give cover, perhaps, to Republicans to say, look, we looked into this by the independent third-party investigative body, to give them cover to vote yes and say they cleared Judge Kavanaugh. Well, now, by not interviewing Dr. Ford and not interviewing Judge Kavanaugh as part of this FBI inquiry, as Dan Goldman said, it's not really a full FBI investigation, it's an inquiry. Now you're giving an opening to Democrats and other people to say, well, this wasn't a real investigation, so how could you possibly vote yes? And I'm certainly not going to change my vote for no based on anything that comes out of it. So this whole week-long pause was supposed to give some clarity to it, and I'm afraid by leaving out the two key witnesses, although they did testify under oath before the Senate, only clouds it further and makes it more controversial when the vote finally comes up later this week.
Mike, why wouldn't you want to hear from the principals? I mean, it's nonsense to say, oh, well, we heard them read from prepared remarks, but, you know, conservatives want to learn some things about Dr. Ford. They want to get at to what she said to the psychiatrist that may have contradicted her testimony before the Senate. Liberals want to hear more from Judge Kavanaugh. They want them to talk to people that are going to have very different stories about how Kavanaugh behaved during college and law school and whether he was lying before the Senate last week.
Yeah, well, Joe, you would want to hear from all of the principals, but in this case, this is not a full-scale investigation. It's not even an investigation, really. It's an extension of an existing background check that's been done. And the important thing to remember is that Dan Goldman pointed out to us earlier, and we should be reminded of it all the time as we talk about this, the FBI in this case is the client of the White House. They are getting their marching orders most likely from Don McGahn, the White House counsel, Daniel, who has a list of what the White House wants to have fulfilled in terms of this background investigation. And by design, intent, or by accident, what's going to happen, I would ask you, is it not going to happen that the FBI is going to get unfairly blamed for not having conducted as full an investigation as most people would like to have seen done?
Absolutely, and even more so because all of the public statements from the White House, from Donald Trump, from Sarah Sanders, from Kellyanne Conway, are all in support of a full investigation, sort of shifting the responsibility for the investigation on the FBI, whereas it seems in the background through the White House counsel's office, they're putting a lot of restrictions on what the FBI can do. I am certain that if the FBI had unfettered access to do whatever they want, they would be speaking to Brett Kavanaugh, they would be speaking to Dr. Ford, they would be speaking to a lot more witnesses, they would be doing a lot of additional searches in terms of trying to identify documents or such as Mark Judge's employment records or trying to identify the House. There are a lot of steps that the FBI would ordinarily take. And the one thing I would disagree with you a little bit, Mike, about is, yes, this is a background investigation. But when you have credible allegations about someone's character, someone's truthfulness, you have to follow up on those and try to determine whether or not those are legitimate concerns. And the only way to do that is through a normal investigation. Yes, it's not a criminal investigation. There is no subpoena power, but you would take the same steps that you would take in a criminal investigation in order to figure out whether or not these allegations are true. The FBI will not say they are true, they aren't true, but they will gather all of the facts that will either contradict what Brett Kavanaugh is saying or will be consistent with Brett Kavanaugh is saying, and then the senators will be able to assess that information. But this should be a full investigation, and it does not appear that it is.
All right, now to the extraordinary and exhaustive New York Times expose that appears to shatter the president's claim of being a self-made billionaire while implicating him in sketchy, possibly illegal tax schemes. The roughly 19-month-long investigation found that Trump received today's equivalent of more than $400 million from his father's real estate empire, beginning as a toddler and continuing to this day. As the Times reports, Much of the money came to Trump because he helped his parents dodge taxes in the 1990s. He and his siblings set up a sham corporation to disguise millions of dollars in gifts from their parents. Records and interviews show records that indicate